Okay, welcome back to the Prison Yard TV, where we don't promote gang violence. We're trying to keep our youth out of gangs and out of prison. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, please hit that subscribe button. It's imperative that you hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get monetized. We're trying to upgrade our production. It's pretty professional around here. As you can see, our cameras are top notch, but we're trying to upgrade all our production in this whole we're on our way to trying to really save our youth. We're trying to do the work, as you can see, and we need to get monetized to do that. This is part-time for me. Hit that like, subscribe, and notification button. Okay, so I've been watching these other channels, and to be frank with you guys, they say they're not racist, these other channels, but they're always talking about blacks are talking about Mexicans, Mexicans are talking about blacks, whites are talking about Mexicans, and it goes on and on and on. So I'm going to tell you what happened to me at Old Folsom Prison in 2003. It was a riot, and we wasn't involved. The Crips wasn't involved. The Bloods wasn't involved. The Baycats wasn't involved. So let me set the picture for you guys. I'm there on a 12-month violation. First time I ever been to Old Folsom. Been to New Folsom, but this is my first time to Old Folsom. I get there and they gave me 12 months flat. That's called a bullet. For I think I went out 50 miles out of Sacramento and got pulled over in LA or something. And when I came back, they violated me. So I end up in Old Folsom Prison March of 2003. Get to Old Folsom Prison, and of course, Dooney, the one that I did an interview a couple of weeks ago, was there, and there was about 15 to 17 people from my neighborhood there, already established, doing different amount of stretches of time. So I get there, and I move in with my homeboy, C Money. Now, C Money got a life sentence. I'm not here to discuss that. He been at Old Folsom for, I think he's still there. I just got verified yesterday. I think I'm almost positive he's still there. He's been there since, I think, 2000 or 2001. So he's been there a long time. I moved in the cell with C Money, and I was there on a punk ass violation. I knew I was going to be there longer than a year unless I caught a DA referral, which means a whole nother case. So I get there, and me and C Money is cellies. And there's no northerners there. There's no North Indians there. It's blacks from every faction. It's Southsiders, and they're deep as fuck. And there's a gang of white boys. And I heard about Old Folsom. And if anybody's been there, they heard of Blood Alley. So back in the early 80s, the blacks had one side of Blood Alley, and the Southsiders had one side of Blood Alley. But the myth is that the blacks that were there at the time sold their half of Blood Alley to the Southsiders. So now it ain't nothing but Southsiders and white boys in Blood Alley. And Blood Alley is actually on the yard. And if you want to take a shower on the yard before you go to your cell, you got to walk down Blood Alley. So you got to walk between these tables on this side, and Southsiders and white boys. And the riot didn't happen there, but I wanted to give you a picture of what Blood Alley looked like. So they got 5 buildings at Old Folsom. 1 building, 2 building, 3 building, 4 building, 5 building. 5 building is a dungeon inside of a dungeon. A lot of lifers in there. However, the cells are humongous. Unlike 4, 3, 2, 1. 4 building at the time was the whole. It's another dungeon. But Old Folsom cells, the regular cells, besides 5 building, you could actually put your hand out and touch one wall and put your hand out and touch the other wall. That's how wide Old Folsom cells are. So I move in with my homie C Money. And we're in 3 buildings. I was in 3 different buildings there. So I think we're in 3 buildings. We're in the building that the one building has its own chow hall. One building is the biggest building there, and they call that the ghetto because everyone tries to get to one building. Everything's going on in one building, and it's humongous. It's 2 sides. It's 5 tiers tall, and that's where my homie Dooney was. He was on the 5th tier, the very end cell. And it's hot. Is the higher up you go on the tiers, the hotter it is. And he was on the 5th tier. Me and C Money were on the 2nd or 3rd tier in 3 building. 3 building has their own chow hall, I believe, or 2 building. We was in either or 2 or 3 building. So I was already there 5 months. This happened in the summertime, I believe in August. If not, it was late July, early August. So me and my cellie, it's chicken day. And anybody knows in any prison around California, they call it a quarter chicken. They give you a leg and a thigh. Everybody goes to chow on chicken day. Normal day. So me and C Money, we go in the chow hall on chicken day. And so the chow hall is arranged in the building, and then they have a catwalk where people walk by to the program office to go to the yard, and they got to walk by. But the actual chow hall is fenced off with a cyclone fence you could see through. So we could see people walking by. So while we're sitting there eating, I'm sitting right here. My cellie C Money sitting to my right. It's a Southsider sitting to my left, and another Southsider sitting across from me. How this ended up, it's designated seats wherever you're in line. They ended up being there. Usually they would have fell back and sat at the table just with their people. This day, this didn't happen. So we're sitting there enjoying our chicken, and they had tater tots on the plate, and we brought our I think they gave us ketchup, little ketchup packs, because I remember ketchup was everywhere during this riot, and I thought it was blood because they were shooting. So this is what happened. So as we're sitting there eating, the alarm goes off. Well, the alarm went off not where we were sitting, but on another tier in the building. So the alarm goes off, so they let us continue eating. It's not in our chow hall. Nothing's happening around us. And what happens is 2 white boys come walking by handcuffed, and their noses are bleeding. They're all swole up, and they're walking by, and they're just looking, and they're saying something to their people in the chow hall through the cyclone fence. And I'm paying attention to everything. My cellie, on the other hand, he wants my chicken. I give him half my chicken. Like I said, he was a lifer. He's still a lifer. And we're sitting there eating, and 4 Southsiders walk by after the white dudes in handcuffs under escort, and they say something in Spanish. Soon as you can't see them no more, all the Southsiders in this chow hall jumped up, and they rushed the whites in the chow hall. They rushed the whites in the chow hall, and they're getting it. But the whites are kind of hanging. It was about a minute into the riot, and this big old gigantic white boy with long red hair comes out from around serving. He was serving the trays, and he had a metal ladle in his hand, the kind you scoop soup out with. And it was about 16 inches long, and it was heavy as fuck. How I know, because I got a scar back here. I don't know if you guys can see it. I got a scar back here from it. So he came out from around the thing. We are actually, the blacks now are standing up at their table eating their chicken, peeping game, because we're not in it. But this white boy, for some reason, thought I was a Southsider. He swung the ladle, hit me in the back of the head. I get off on him. A Bay Cat. Well, let me take that. 2 Bay Cats, one from Richmond, one from Vallejo. Grab them, and we're mixing. We got them on the ground, and we're actually stomping this cat. All the blacks were sitting in one area mostly. They all get up, and now it's Southsiders and all the blacks in this chow hall against the white boys. Now they're outnumbered by a whole bunch. The gun tower is shooting Big Bertha. Okay. He shoots 4 times. This riot ain't stopping. All the police come from Old Folsom at first, and they're lined up on the gate, and they're throwing tear gas in there. We can't breathe. We're still standing. We're not going to get down because they're still fighting. They're still stabbing. They're hitting each other in the head with these trays. It is messy as fuck. This white boy is unconscious, but we done drug him over here. He's on the ground, and these dudes are just kicking his face in, the brothers. I stood up. I looked over, and yes, I'm going to do this to you, C-Money, because you deserve this one. I look over, and my cellie from my neighborhood that I've been knowing since I was 14 years old left me. He's running, and he's trying to pull himself through the tray slot where they pass trays out. And how I knew this, the Vallejo cat that helped me get the white boy, he was like, look at your cellie, dog. I looked over there, C-Money left me hanging, and he was trying to go through the tray slot. Now, this riot lasted probably about 5 or 6 minutes, and it was bloody. It was, oh, so let me back up. So after the cop shot 3 Big Berthas and no one stopped, he cocked that Mini 14 and let a round off, and it hit the ground. It wasn't by me, but it hit the ground over there by the Southsiders. So they get down, the white boys get down, but it's already, everyone's out of breath. We can't breathe. We're all fogged up from the bombs they threw in there. Now they throw concussion grenades in when there's a riot. At Folsom, they throw concussion grenades in there. Well, by the time it was over with, they called all the COs from next door at New Folsom. So what they do is, because it was a whole chow hall, they can't take everybody to the hole. So they cuff up everybody in the chow hall, because everybody was involved in this riot. Whites, blacks, and Southsiders. That's all that was there. The only people that wasn't involved was the Asians, the others, and they wasn't even that thick in our building. Probably like 10 of them. So they take us out to the big yard at Old Folsom. They put the blacks on one side of the softball fence. Was that? Yeah, on one side of the softball fence. And all the whites and Southsiders, because they don't know what's going on. They don't know that the blacks and Southsiders were fighting the white boys. So they put them together, and we're out there. This is dinner time. Dinner time's after count, probably 6 o'clock. We're out there. They got so many COs from New Folsom. We're out there until about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And what they're doing, they got nurses out there. They got the assistant warden out there. They got numerous lieutenants out there. And actually, one of my cousins, my second cousins, was a CO at New Folsom, and I didn't know it until this day, until 2003. He was one of the COs that came from New Folsom over there, and I seen him. And I'm not going to say his name. He's still a CO, I believe. Anyway, so we're out there till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And what they're doing while we're out there so long is because they have to check our hands, any marks, any scratches, because if you have scratches, you're going to go to your cell and they're going to CTQ you, confine to quarters. And that means you're not going to leave the cell. Fortunately, my cellie didn't have nothing on him, and I had one red mark, but it was on my back and my arm. And it was because I told them, because I was leaning up against the cyclone fence and they really couldn't tell. I had red marks on my back and on my hand, and I told them it's because of the cyclone fence. So that was the easy part of the story, fighting another group with the Southsiders. If you guys could imagine, I haven't seen or heard in my 28 years of going to prison or CYA or juvenile hall that the blacks and the Southsiders were together on a riot against anybody. This was the first time I've ever seen it and was involved in it. 2003, if you guys want to look it up, I'm sure. I tried to look on YouTube. There's nothing on it, but I don't have everyone's channel on here either. So what happened was, of course, I'm going to confront my cellie. He's a lifer. He ain't coming home. I don't know about now. I know he's still there, but he didn't have a date then. I doubt if he has a date now because of his crime. He had a crime of passion. And I go back to the cell. And At this time, I don't know what he's doing now, but at this time, he was trying to convert to be a Muslim, and he had a Quran in the cell. And he always used to read this Quran when he woke up early in the morning. So I knew that Quran meant a lot to him. So when I go back, let me back up. When I went to Old Folsom, back in 2003, all the early 2000s, I was the dope man on the street. I used to sell weight. I used to do everything from selling weight, everything that falls with that. That's what I used to do. So I wasn't hurting when I got there. I was married. My wife used to come see me. She didn't bring my son because she said Folsom looked evil. It looked like a medieval castle, she said. However, C Money was a lifer, so I moved in the cell knowing he wasn't doing too good. He'd been there for years. So I bought him everything new, sweatsuits, Nike Cortezes, TV, filled his whole shelves with food. He had, this ain't no bullshit, he had cans of chili that he said he had for 2 and 3 years. I'm like, bro, when I first got there, I'm like, let's make a spray. He's like, oh, no, we ain't touching these. These been up here. He used to put food on his locker just so people knew he had food, but he wouldn't eat it. I'm like, what the fuck kind of shit is this? So I went and got a package for him in his name, got whatever he wanted, got my package, went to the store. I think back then it was only $120 or $110. I think when I left this time in 18, it was $240. You could go to the store a month, but back then I think it was $110. Filled the cell up with groceries, hygiene, the whole shit. So not just because of that, but because I knew this cat all my life, and he's from my neighborhood, I felt like he stabbed me in the back, and I let him know it when we got back to the cell. He wasn't by me on the yard when we was out there till 10:30, 11 o'clock. He was way on the other end, but I knew that he didn't have no marks, and I knew if I could get away back to the cell and not go to the hole, he would be there. So when I walked in the cell, he's sitting there reading his Quran, and I immediately confront him. Now, you got to understand the layout of Old Folsom cells. So usually at DVI, Soledad got some small cells too, but they're on North B Yard, they're square. These cells are real long, narrow, not even real long. They're narrow, and the toilet's at the back of the cell with the sink. And as soon as you walk in, the bunks are right on your left. And then you got a wall right there. There's maybe 2 feet, maybe, between the bunk, the end of the bunk, and the wall. So when you're laying in bed, you can touch the wall. It's very hard to fight in Old Folsom cell. Me, I'm a bigger kind of guy, so it's kind of hard for me to fight. But I had 2 fights in the cell, both with my homeboys. I'm going to tell you about the second one. So the first one was this. I go in the cell and I confront him. And he's like, I'm going to board of prison terms. I don't need no write-ups. That's why I did that. I tried to call you, dog, but you didn't come. I didn't hear none of that. When I get in a zone. When you're in a riot, you have to be watching everything, but paying attention to one thing, if you know what I mean. You're in tunnel vision, but you're watching everything around you because they can creep behind you. You try to find a wall so you can fight off a wall so someone can get behind you and stab you. So it was I had a lot of adrenaline. Mind you, I got an ounce of black up in my ass. So I'm dirty. I'm walking around dirty, like everyone said on the street. I'm driving dirty, and I'm in this riot. And it happened. The blacks got in because the white boy tried to hit me in the head, actually, with the ladle. So when we get back to the cell, I confront him. He tells me his reasoning. However, I couldn't, at that time, 2003, let me see, 19 years ago. So I was 34 years old. C Money's 1 year older than me. He was 35 at the time. My homie Dooney is 1.5 years younger than me. Him and Walt Anderson from Oak Park Funk Lords, they controlled our car on the yard. Walt was from Oak Park, Dooney was from 29th Street, and they controlled the 916 Crips and Bloods from Sacramento on the yard. So we was up under that umbrella. So I couldn't just take off on C Money in the cell for leaving me. I wanted to get some input. So I told Dooney about it. And Dooney's like, dog, you're only here for this amount of time. We're lifers, bro. Kick back. Don't fuck with C Money. I'm going to move you out when you get off lockdown. I'm going to move you to one building with me. Cool. I don't want to be in the cell with a buster. And yeah, C Money's a buster. He left his own homeboy in a riot against white boys. So to me, that's a buster. I would have never did that to him. He was supposed to be by my side, win, lose, or draw. He wasn't. He left me. So what happens is 2 days later, we're on lockdown. Everybody's on lockdown except the Asians, the Indians and the Asians. 2 days go by. They haven't showered us yet. Now, Old Folsom, there ain't doors. There's bars. There's bars that open the door, and they got a bar, a long bar that goes the front bar and then a back bar. So they open this cabinet up and they twist something and they open the front bar. Then they let you out. Then they close it. Then they open the back bar. That's how they release yard. That's how they release chow. But because there was a big riot, and I think 4 people got stabbed. I think there's all white boys too. Southsiders got their money. Listen, they said 6 people to the hospital. How I knew that the blacks did this, because we was fighting and jumping on heads and hitting people with trays and all that shit. But I know the Southsiders, they always got knives. That's no secret. Southsiders always got knives in prison. I don't care if they're on the yard playing handball. I don't care if they're taking a shower. They got a knife very close by. Everybody knows that. Us, on the other hand, we got them put in different places. Let's put it like that. Where we work out, we put them in different places. We don't carry them all the time with us. We rather fight. And at this time, Old Folsom was a level 3. I was a level 3 then on this violation. It wasn't level 4. It wasn't level 2. So 2 days after the riot, me and C Money's in the cell. We ain't talking. It's like the silent treatment because I got some kind of animosity on my chest. So what happens is they call all whites want a shower, put your towel on the bar. That means if a CO looks down the range, he can see your towel on the bar. He opens your gate and you can come out and you can go shower. You got to walk down these stairs and it's all blind spots. There's no CO. So when you're in your cell at Old Folsom, you got two gun towers, not gun towers, gun rails across from you. And they walk by, one between the 5th and 3rd tier and one between the 2nd, the 1st and 3rd tier. So there's 2 gun rails and there's a cop walking back and forth on each one. And they both got mini 14s and a Big Bertha. So they open the white cell to shower and my cell door opens, my bar opens up. So anybody that knows that's ever been to any kind of prison or CYA knows if you're on lockdown or if you're in the hole, if you're in the shoe and you're out on the tier and your enemy's door opens, it's automatic. You're going to get down. They're probably going to come out with knives. And that's just the rules of prison, especially level 3s and level 4s. I've never been to a level 2 or level 1. So I really can't talk about that. My whole life has been California Youth Authority, level 3s and level 4 prisons. All my life, 28 years incarcerated. And the reason why I'm telling this story, I'm not trying to glorify any of this or make myself look bigger, make somebody look bad besides C Money, sub C Money. But it's to enlighten the community what isn't in the media, that they don't put on the news. And all I've seen about this riot, I think, is riot at Folsom Prison. 4 inmates hurt. That's all I believe I've seen on TV. No specifics, who it was. Everyone wonders, I wonder if that was my son. I wonder if that was my dad. I wonder if that was my uncle. If they was in the riot. They don't never say what factions were in the riot on the news. And it's probably a better thing so that other prisoners don't hear it, and they'll follow suit. So this is what happens. My bar opens up, and there's 3 cells of white boys out in the chair, walk by myself. They don't even know my bar's open because I haven't opened it yet. So I'm in there in my boxers and my Nikes with socks. That's it. And I'm standing at the back of the cell by the sink, and the bar opens up. So I go to the front of the bar, make sure I heard the click right, because when your bar opens up, it clicks. You can hear it, and you know your cell door kind of like a little bit cracks because there's pressure on it. So I go to the bars, and I'm waiting for all the white boys to get out their cell and go pass me up. And I could actually go out on the tier and stab the fuck out of these dudes. And I'll probably go to the hole, but I'll beat the 115 because they put my life in jeopardy by accidentally opening our door with all these white boys out there. However, that never happened. Why? I'm back at the back of the cell trying to get my knife out, and it wasn't even a big ass knife. It had a 3-inch, maybe 4-inch. It was it looked like a railroad spike actually, but it wasn't that shape. It was round, and it had a point on it, and the handle was tape and gauze and sheet. So by the time I got this fucking knife out of me that I've been walking around with, my cellie's at the bar. He opens up the fucking bars and he yells down to the CO, CO, close my door. You accidentally opened it. That's a huge no-no. That is one of the worst things you can do when your cellie just was in a riot and he got 2 stitches in his head from this riot. This is a freebie for me and for him. We could go out on the tier. We could stab these white boys up. And if they have knives, they'll probably stab us up too. But it was a freebie where I couldn't have caught a DA referral. And I knew this because the cops opened my door accidentally, which I don't believe that for 1 minute. I think they knew that they was opening our door for a reason. They knew we was going to go out there and take care of our business. We didn't. As soon as he said that, he shut the gate and he fucking locked it, the cop. I threw my knife on the fucking, we got a locker in the back above the sink in the toilet. I threw my knife up on the locker and I take off on C Money. Now, C Money is 6'1", 6'2", no teeth on this side. And he talks like this so you can't see. He ain't got no teeth over there. I'm clowning because this is real shit. He's pretty cut up, not hella swole, but he boxes on the bag every day, the heavy bag. Ghost from Oakland and Duck was there. No, wait, was Duck there? Ghost was there from Oakland, and he used to train C Money at boxing. However, his skills weren't up to par yet. C Money didn't hit me one time. No disrespect to Christians, to Muslims, or the Quran, or the New or the Bible. But when I fired on C Money, he laid on his bed and balled up. So that showed me what I kind of already knew about him anyway. And I got his Quran and I threw it down the tier. Now you can't get out to get your Quran, and there's white boys out there. They're not going to give you a Quran. I threw his fucking Quran down the tier. He started yelling, talking shit. I'm telling Dooney this. I'm telling Dooney that. Dooney was somebody in prison. Everybody looked up to him. People were scared of Dooney. I'm going to be straightforward with you. He had incident after incident there with way bigger cast than him, and he has no losses that I know about while I was there. Chill Will from Elder Creek Mob. Remember Dooney? He was a 300-pound motherfucker, like 6'1", and he got manhandled. We're not going to get into that. So I blended C Money through his Quran down the tier. Now I know I'm not going to go to sleep in the cell because now there's animosity. He got his tooth went through his lip, I think. He had a bloody lip. His nose had a little bit of blood, and his eye had a puffiness underneath. I didn't give him 100% because he is from my neighborhood, but I was hot. And I believe 2 weeks before, me and my wife were in the visiting room arguing, and she told me she wasn't coming back to see me. And she didn't come back to see me. I'm going to continue with the story. And then at the end, I'm going to tell you how I bailed out of a 12-month violation. You guys ain't going to believe me, but I'm going to tell you how I bailed out of prison 2 months early at my 10-month mark. But right now, so I give C Money like a 4-piece. He balls up. I throw his Quran down the tier. That night, I slept none, zero. The next day was our shower day. So what I did was I struck up a kite, a wheelie, and I rode it, and I knew the Asians and the Indians were still out. So when I went to shower, I gave it to this native cat from Stockton, Mostro. Anyone know Mostro from Stockton? He used to be a northerner, but he's native now, or he was when I left. I gave him the kite, and I was sending the kite not to do it was going to Dooney, but I sent it to our other homeboy TC, Terry Calder, because he was over there with Dooney. And I told him, man, one of us got to move out to sell. Tell Dooney to move me in with some. So what Terry Calder did was he got at the COs while we was on lockdown, and he had me move into one building in his cell with him. So I was away from C Money. I moved next door to a Southsider. And everyone in one building was asking me what happened because no one knew in the other buildings, just my building, which was 3 buildings. We all knew, but it hasn't gotten, okay, you got a picture, 2003. It's not like 2020s. If there was phones, I didn't know about them. I didn't have one. I was there on a violation. I would have had one if I knew they was there, but I don't think there was phones in 2003, at least not in old FOLSOM. So everything was by word of mouth or face-to-face there. The other buildings want to know what happened, who was in the riot. So when I went over there, I told who I needed to tell that was from my core that we got off with the Southsiders, and I had to explain why we backed the Southsiders in this riot. And it wasn't so much that we backed the Southsiders. We was brought in by that white dude hitting me in the head with the ladle. All the blacks jumped up after that because, of course, I'm a Crip. Of course, I'm a Crip. Yeah. So not no more. I don't gangbang no more. Just want you guys to know that. I'm just fucking with my channel right now. So yeah, what happened was I moved in with Terry Calder, TC from 29th Street. I don't know how much time he had in, but I know he said he had 8 years left back then. He had more because he just got out like 3 or 4 years ago and he's already back. He only stayed home a couple months. Anyways, that's another story. So when we finally do get off lockdown, I'm thinking 3 weeks later, we go to the yard and everyone's asking me what had happened. Why ain't I in the cell with C Money? Why he's saying that I fired on him, and I fired on him when he was on his toilet shitting. That did not happen. He kept telling everyone that did not happen. I fired at him when he was at the bars after he told the cops to close our bar. So while I'm in the cell with Terry Calder, TC, we go to the yard on a Friday. Now, okay, so Old Folsom Yard is very small. So everybody in every building can't go out together. So they let one side of one building out, tier 1 through 5, and then they let 2 or 3 building out with them. And I believe it caps at either 1,000 or 1,500. They do use a clicker to count how many people go out. I think when it reaches 1,000 or 1,500, they stop and they turn everyone else around. So we're out on the yard. I'm explaining to Dooney. I'm explaining to Big Capone from North Highlands, Big Squab from 29th Street, Gangsta Feet, Coop, and who I fuck with from my neighborhood in North Highlands was out there. Rest in peace, Teflon was there from North Highlands. Rest in peace, Teflon. He got killed 2 years ago by the Sacramento County Sheriffs at the Sacramento County Jail. They choked him out and they killed him. We protested against that. Rest in peace, Teflon from North Highlands. I'm going to do a segment on that too. Anyways, so I'm explaining to them what happened, and everything is good. A week goes by. I'm 10 months in on my 12-month bullet violation. That means I have to do 365 days on this violation. I'm on the yard, and they call my last name. Report back to your building. Roll your property up. Report to R&R. Wait a minute. I got 2 more months left. I'm not going home. What do you mean report to R&R with my property? So I go to the sergeant's office, and I tell him they called me in. He looked it up. He's like, transport's here to take you to Yolo County. Never been to Yolo County before. I always been to Sac County Jail and other jails in different towns. Yolo County is right next to Sacramento, West Sac, Broderick, Woodland. But I've never been to this jail before. And I'm arguing with the sergeant. I'm like, nah, I'm here on a violation, man. He's like, no, you got a court in 2 days. We need to get you to Yolo County by tomorrow. So at the time, I was selling drugs in prison. I would definitely urge anybody in any prison in the United States, if you're there, don't get in the dope game. Don't get into gambling. It's bad for your health. You're going to catch more time, maybe not getting caught with the dope, but you're going to have to stab someone that owes you money. Just like out here, when you front people dope on the streets, they run off with your money. In prison, if you're selling dope and you let one person not pay you, that's the end of your career in selling dope, because the word's going to travel fast. Dog got the sack. He fronted me some dope. I didn't pay him and nothing happened to me. So everybody's going to try to do that. So you don't want to sell drugs, gamble, or drink in prison. I suggest not. I did it all my life. I'm used to living a certain lifestyle in prison, down on the street. And that's just what I did. Now that I'm 53 years old, my mind and my soul, I'm a Christian man, is not into the things I was into at a younger age. So I'm not glorifying drugs, sales of drugs, usage of drugs, or anything else. But I'm not knocking anybody either. But you guys all know, if you've been to prison, you're going to end up either killing someone, you're going to get stabbed, or you're going to catch more time, period. I caught so much time selling drugs. Not even, it wasn't even for me getting caught with drugs, though. It was my cellie had this on the shelf. My cellie was out in the yard and they wanted me because of him. That type of shit. 12 months here, taking away good time for my cellie shit. Little man from Pomona, what's up, cuz? I'll put people on blast today. Little man. I'm going to do a segment on Little Man from Pomona. That's a good segment. His grandmother was the cocaine grandmother of Pomona. If you guys ever heard of her, from Texas to Pomona, she went to the feds for the rest of her life. Anyways, that's another segment. So they called me in from the yard. I'm rattling on. They called me in for the yard to roll it up. I roll my property up, and there's a van outside, and I'm the only one in this van. So I'm thinking, okay, we're going to Yolo County. It's probably 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Hot as hell. They put me in this van, and we go to Reno, Nevada in this van. I'm asking them all the way, why are you taking me out here? When we get to Reno, we pull up to this county jail, and they pick up this white boy that smelled so bad, and they put him right next to me. They got all these empty seats in back, and they put him right next to me. And I told him, bro, you got to move to the back. Finally, he did. He smelled like he ain't took a shower. And when you get transported from prison or jail, they usually put you in a jumpsuit. Well, prison, they put you in a jumpsuit. So I'm in a red jumpsuit. No, I'm not. I'm in a white paper jumpsuit, see-through, and you can see my boxers. He gets on with his civilian clothes. So I'm like, where you going, bro? He's like, I'm going to Yolo County. Cool. We're taking this ride together. Now I know I'm going to Yolo County. I still got 64 days left until I'm supposed to parole. My wife's friend had worked at Yolo County at the time. She no longer works there. I know I'm going to get so much backlash even mentioning this. I'm not going to say no names. But when I got to Yolo County is nothing like Sacramento County Jail. It's very small. I never made it back to a unit. However, I was up in R&R. Well, it ain't even R&R, it's intake. And they put the men and the women together in these fucking seats with a TV, and you got to turn your shoes in. So everyone's walking around in their socks, and it smells like feet in this damn jail. So I'm coming from prison to fucking a stanky ass jail with a funky ass redheaded white boy that stank like shit. So when I get there, I'm sitting in these seats, and I'm watching TV, and they called me to the counter to do my fingerprints, take my picture, process me, right? And I see my wife's friend that goes to me and my wife's house for Bible study. She don't say nothing to me, not one word. She sees me and sees my name. She knows who I am. So I don't say nothing to her. However, I don't know if it was her or her sergeant, but when they got the process of me taking my fingerprints, they asked me, am I going to bail out? I'm like, I can't bail out. I still got 64 days left in FOLSOM. I just came from prison. He says, no, you don't have a parole hold. He said, you're free to bail. And I'm like, what's my charges? He said, fraudulent use of ATM cards. Now my mind is working 10 times overtime. I have no clue what this dude's talking about. I don't remember doing anything in Yolo County. At the time, I was probably doing that. I don't know, 3 or 4 years maybe before that. At the time, I didn't know what they was talking about. I told them they had the wrong person. However, my bail was $55,000. And I told you, my wife stopped coming to see me a month or two before this. Haven't talked to her. She ain't picked up the phone. So when I call collect from the intake phone, when she picks up the phone, she hears them say, collect call from me from Yolo County Jail. So she immediately accepts. Yes, dear, you did. She immediately accepts. And she asked me what I'm doing there. I tell her, I don't know. They told me I had a bail. Called Tony Lopez bail bonds, bailed me out. That's what she did. She went, she called Tony. We didn't have to give him the money right there because I grew up with him. He sent the paperwork over. She was there within 30 minutes to pick me up. My son, we're not going to talk about my son on here. He was a baby. He was a baby then. And she picked me up while I was in Folsom Prison. We got in a big argument in the visitor room. And I thought it was over Clinton and Bush, but I think it might not have been over politics. It could have been, but while I was there, she sent a lawyer to see me, and I signed these papers because she was trying to buy a house without me. We was married, but I figured, you know, I'm gonna let her buy this house. So I signed off on this house and let her buy it. I guess she was planning on divorcing me back then. It was probably true, but I came home early and she never did. Maybe she should have back then. However, she bailed me out 2 months early from paroling. And at the time, I didn't keep my cash at my wife's house or with my wife. I had another spot. So she knew this. And on the way home, she asked me if I needed to go anywhere to get any money. And I told her, no, I'm good because I had some. And she, I don't know if she didn't hear me. I mean, I know she heard me, but she just went along with it. But I said, I need to stop by my homie's house on the way. He lived, I think, off El Camino, because the whole time I was in jail on this violation, when I was calling my homeboys, they was talking about this ecstasy shit. Never did it before. So while I was at the jail, I told my homie, not going to mention his name either, we ain't cool no more, that I was coming home. I was getting ready to bail out. He said, man, I'm leaving with such and such. I'm going to leave you these 2 ecstasy pills in my Cadillac, in my ashtray. Stop and get them. Take one before you go home and be with your wife. But I've been hearing about ecstasy for 3 years now. Never took one. So I made her stop. My homeboy's house. He wasn't there. I get in his car, get these 2 yellow pills. They got Pac-Man on them. He told me to only take half because I never took it. They were so small, I took the whole thing. And so I get to the house. Never been in this house before. She bought it while I was in prison. Probably 4 months, 5 months before I even bailed out. In the area where she grew up at, and it was a nice house. It was a very nice house. And I get there, and on the way there, I take this ecstasy pill. She don't know I took it. She knows now. I mean, I told her later on. But I take this ecstasy pill. So I told you I was selling dope in prison. I left TC a zip of black, and that's worth like $6,000, maybe 10. But I took the cat. Okay, so different prisons. Every prison you go to, drugs is a different price. I noticed that. I've been to, I think, 15 prisons, and every prison I've been to, drugs is a different price. However, old FOLSOM still plays with $100 bills. They don't pay with green dot back then, 2003. So I had 18 $100 bills hooped. In my ass. It was wrapped in plastic, triple wrapped in saran wrap with a Ziploc bag, then wrapped again. So I went in the bathroom and I shit this $1,800 out my ass. Of course, I put it in the sink. Now I got to clean the shit off of the first bag, ball that up in toilet paper, throw that in the toilet, and then go through all the layers. And while I'm doing this, my wife walks in the bathroom. She just seen something in the sink and smelt the smell and was like, what is that? And she's very curious. So I told her and I showed her, and she couldn't believe. She was mad as hell that I was doing something illegal in prison. Yeah, she was mad as hell. I told her what I was doing. I told her how I got the money. However, that pill kicked in, and I never felt an ecstasy pill before. So the pill kicked in, and no, it didn't. It didn't kick in the bathroom. My bad. It didn't kick in. I went out in the living room, and my son, I got him on my chest. At the time, I had an earring in my left nipple. That's some gay shit. If you get an earring in your nipple, take that shit out. It's gay. I thought it was fly. I got it done in '89 in DVI. Rest in peace, Conrad. He just died last year. The guy that pierced my nipple in '89 or '90 in DVI. D-Wing in the shower. He fucking pierced it with a fucking eraser and a big ass needle. And I could probably still put something in it, but I had my son. He was a baby, and my wife went to bed. I'm like, this pill ain't working. So I took the other one and I started drinking orange juice. Anybody knows, I didn't at the time. You don't take 2 double stack ecstasies, and you don't take citrus with ecstasy, because it kicks in and it makes you like, so ecstasy, however you're feeling at the time, it intensifies you 10 times over. So I'm sitting there with my son on my chest, and he keeps playing with my earring. And all I know is I start sweating, pouring down sweat. And I put my son in his bassinet, and I go to the bathroom to wash my face, and I look at myself, my eyes are this big. I'm like this, and I'm sweating profusely. I've been in prison 10 months. So anyone that's been in jail 6 months or more, you know what a man is trying to do when he comes home. I didn't know the ramifications of taking this. I went and took a shower. It was hot. I was sweating. And I'll just leave it at that. Not going to get into my personal life on here. But the that is the story of Crips, Bloods, BG. No, not BG. There was one. Ray Dick, what's up? Rest in peace, Ray Dick. He's rest in peace now. He did a lot of time and came home and got killed. But it was all factions of blacks and Southsiders. What's up, Southsiders? What's up, SURENO'S? If you was there, tap in. I know a few of you was there. I know one of you was there, definitely, and I've been trying to get a hold of you because I want to do an interview on this channel. Payaso from White Fence, tap in, man. That's my story. I know I'm going to get all kind of backlash because I don't think I've ever seen this story, heard it in person at other prisons. I've never told this story to no one because I figured people would know because it was a big ass prison and it happened. And it was like, that is something that's very, you don't cross those lines. Like if the whites and the Southsiders getting down, that's no one else's business. But when a faction comes in and hits someone that's from a black gang, blacks rise, blacks take off. That's what happens. I don't recall if any blacks had knives. No, I don't think so. If they did, I don't think they used them. But there was some white boys stabbed up in there. And I think one Southsider had a cut under his eye. I think that's the only thing. But the Southsider and the blacks, we did that. And I don't think that's in history. That's in the history books because I've never heard of this ever happening in any prison. See, from a young age, I've always knew Northerners and all black gangs, not all, but most black gangs, especially in Sacramento, that's our allies. In jail, on the streets, we mess with them. And Southern California, however, they really don't align themselves with any black gangs. They're usually at war with the Bloods and the Crips in LA. And that's just how it is. We grew up with them, and I'm sure they grew up in their neighborhoods, but they don't get along. And so for this incident to happen, it was very rare. And I just wanted to give you this story. I got several riots I was involved in. I'm going to tap in. I already tapped in on the Bulldog riot from Pleasant Valley. I started that one. It was stupid as hell, over $50. This one I didn't start. But the next one I was in. I didn't start that one either. I'll tap in on that one probably later in the week. I wanted to put this video out Friday because I'm probably not going to be home all weekend. So I wanted to put this video out now. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, if you haven't hit that like button, that share button, and especially that notification button, if you want to hear my next video, you'll be notified. So hit that notification bell. But please subscribe to this channel. We're trying to save our youth from gangs, violence, and going to prison, juvenile halls, YAs. We want to keep them out on these streets. We don't want them to go back. We don't want them to go do the stuff that we had to do. I know there's a lot of people out there that have been to prison. I'm not the only one. I'm watching these channels, and they're telling a lot of tales. Not all of them, but I listen to these channels, and 2 of them aren't authentic at all. I'm just going to leave it at that. You guys could be judgment of that, but I'm telling you real life experiences I had in the 28 years I did behind the wall, and it's authentic. I got paperwork. What I won't do right now, because I'm not knowing how this works, I'm not going to put no paperwork on my channel yet. I do want to post something though. Maybe not on my next story, but my next story. It was a fight I was in with the blood from Skyline and Donovan. And I want to show you the write-up on this so you guys know how much violence, the consistency of violence, even on a level 3 yard, how bloody, and how I got pictures. I got pictures of me because I had a phone then during this fight, and it started out as a 1-on-1 fight, but it ended up a 2-on-2 fight. Cash, East Palo Alto, what's happening? White boy Crip from San Jose. I can't think of your name. You got life. I don't know if you're seeing this from 7 Trees. If you see this, tap in. I need you to confirm. Tap in with me. He had a life without the possibility of parole plus 160 years. I'm going to find your name out too because you was my celly for 2 days. But I will show that right up on here. I'll black a couple of things out to protect the other individual that was involved in it. But it was a very bloody fight. I had 3 broken ribs by the police. I'll show that this week coming up. So hit that notification button. Love you guys. Stay blessed over the weekend. Watch for them highway patrols out there. They're out there trying to pull you over for speeding and drinking and driving. It's 4th of July weekend. Stay safe out there and drive safe. Don't drink and drive.